Hi, my name's Dr. Catherine Hughes from Crime Psych. This is the third video on looking at mental health issues, which deviates from my normal psychology of crime videos. I feel that this is such an important issue to so many people at the moment because we're all struggling in one way or another. My aim is to hopefully give you some advice and some tips about what you can do to look after your own mental health during this difficult time. I know that the title for this video might seem a little bit dramatic and a bit apocalyptic, but I think most people are very much underestimating just what is happening and the toll that it's taking on us all. We all know that we're living in unprecedented times. There's no normal, as it were, and it's been going on for almost a year now. We've become a divisive society who air their views freely on social media platforms. I could talk endlessly about the psychological mechanisms and the theories that might explain that behaviour, but that's not very helpful for you as an individual to help you to live your life the best way you can. So this particular video is from me to you in the hope that it will help you to remain sane for just a tiny bit longer. This isn't about psychological theories or psychological mechanisms. It comes from my own experience and what I've learned through my journey to recovery through counselling. As humans, in general, we don't like change. We like predictable because it gives us feelings of empowerment and comfort to know what's going to happen next. But right now, in these times and for the last year, nothing has been predictable. We don't know what's going to happen next. We don't know what to expect. And we've got very little control over the decisions that the world leaders are taking to control COVID-19. Many people are working from home. Many people have lost their jobs. Many people are homeschooling their children. Many people are putting themselves in even more at-risk situations of catching the virus so that they can go and earn money to feed their family. It's affected our lives in so many ways. Some people don't know how long they're going to be able to afford to put food on the table. Some don't know how to cope with homeschooling their children. Some have separated from their spouses or partners because they've discovered that actually they don't like them very much. Some have had to endure increased instances of domestic abuse and child abuse. There's so much that's on the news every single day, so much on social media platforms, and we see it day in and day out. You might have lost some of your family and friends to the virus, and you can certainly be hurt by those who think that it's all a hoax. You may be upset that governments are not doing as much as they could or as much as they should. You might get upset with people that you know who've broken their rules. I know that I am. I'm frustrated with all of that. With social media, we're given an unedited platform to air our views on. Of course, these companies that are in charge of these do have some safeguards in place to prevent abuse or to prevent hate crimes. Let's take a look at the issue of wearing masks as an example. I know some people who've lost close friends because they didn't believe that masks were necessary and they didn't work. I know other people who attack other people, whether they know them or not, for not wearing a mask without even knowing what their circumstances are. In England, we've got those who are in support of Boris Johnson and those who think that he's failed to protect the nation. We have some people who praise the NHS workers and say that they deserve a rise, and then you've got others who question whether they deserve a rise because they're just doing their job. And boy, do we like to argue about these issues. But let me ask you one simple question. Can you personally, as a single individual, change what you don't like about all of this? If the answer is yes, brilliant, great, good luck to you, go out and change it then. But I suspect that the majority of you answered no. We can't change what the government decide to do. We can't make somebody wear a mask. You can't make somebody take a vaccine if they don't want to take it. You can't make schools open. You can't make bars and gyms open. Of course, you are entitled to your views and your opinion on it, but you're powerless to change any of that as an individual. Now, I'm not ignoring the fact that groups of people can and do change issues in the world, but I want to help you as a single individual to get through these really tough times. Each of us is feeling the pressure, and as I said in my video on mental health and well-being just a couple of weeks ago, we need to somehow find the strength and resilience to get up and out of bed each morning and do things such as work from home, homeschool our children, and so on. For some people, just getting out of bed in the morning is a significant achievement. I've taught people to ride motorbikes for many, many years now. And what I've found with that is that some people get so frustrated with themselves because they think they should be doing better what they are. They get frustrated and angry when they can't change gear, for example. Now, these types of people get exhausted very, very quickly, and they need to take a break and a step back from that. And the same issue is true of this lockdown. You have some people who appear to be doing really well, and you might look at them and you might feel disappointed that you're struggling. You might think that you should be doing better than what you are. And almost a year on, we're tired, we're exhausted. We've had all of our leisure activities stopped and taken away from us. There are so many things that we can't do. But if you carry on focusing on the things that you can't do, you're not helping yourself. Have a think about what you can do. At this point, I want to strip everything right down and encourage each of you to think about yourself as an individual. How are you feeling? Did you even stop to be kind to yourself today? Or have you been so busy taking care of other people that you don't have the time to look after you? Maybe you think that your needs come last, but things need to change if we want to be able to get through these times. I am so honoured and blessed to have learned this before lockdown, and it did take an awful lot of work on my part to change the way that I was thinking. I can only really talk for myself, so that's what I'm going to do. Speaking the truth takes courage. It takes a lot of courage because we don't like to admit our mistakes. Plus, we don't tend to let others know what we're afraid of or what faults that we have or what we're struggling with. When you stand up in public view and put yourself at risk of being laughed at or seen as weak or have people tell you that we're wrong, we feel very vulnerable. Let's face it, we all know what the internet is like with these so-called keyboard warriors and trolls. I only go into my own channel's comments section on days that I'm feeling good because of some sassy or mean things that people can write. But that's okay. They don't know me personally, so I don't take it personally. I don't have the power to stop people writing what they want, but I do have the power over when I choose to look at and respond to those comments. Going back years, my default behaviour for a long time was to help other people so much, even at the expense of my own time and my own self-care. I was a serial volunteer for anything and everything. I've even got certificates to prove it. I've been a mum since I was 18 years old, and I've had another human depend on me. And he was my absolute world, and I loved his father and wanted a happy little family. I wasn't respecting myself, though, and my own needs because I cared so much. Thinking back, I was very naive and very vulnerable. I wouldn't tell my parents that he wasn't contributing financially. I made excuses for why I was paying for childcare while he was at home with his friends. Once we'd split up, I covered it all up and didn't tell my son the truth. We had our home repossessed because I was sinking financially, and I was never honest with my son about why his father had left and why we had to move house and why he didn't see his dad that often. Because I felt I was protecting him. I felt I was shielding him from all of the crap that goes on in the world. And of course, years later, he was upset when he did find out the truth about his dad, because during that time, he'd somewhat resented me for some of the things that he thought were my fault that actually weren't. Now, the reason I'm telling you this is to hopefully make you realise that you matter. It doesn't matter how much you love your family, how much you want to protect them. If you're running on an empty fuel tank, you can't give them the best of you. So many people are at breaking point and they don't know how they're going to cope. So if you're feeling like that, know that you're not alone. It's not selfish to take measures to look after you first. If you try and control and manage everything, it may not work out as you wanted it to anyway. So back to you as an individual. Take time out each day and have a think about how you're feeling. Your feelings are valid. As I've said in previous videos on mental health, we all have an inner narrative, that little voice in our head that criticises or praises or prioritises what we're doing and when we need to do it. I've spent my whole life getting to know myself, or at least I thought I did. I was my own worst critic. I had very high expectations of myself, and when things went wrong, I'd speak to myself in really cruel ways. Everything at the moment is changing, and we have very little control over what's happening, and that can cause us untold amounts of stress. We can draw some parallels to rebuilding the country after the 2 world wars that we've had. Everything changed then too. And you know what happened? People learned a new normal and survived. If you sit down and have a think about how you're feeling and you don't know, then that's okay. It's okay not to know. Is it positive or is it negative? Does it change by the hour or by the minute? Because that's okay too. It does for me sometimes. What is it that's causing you to feel stress or upset or sad? Let's say it's trying to work from home and homeschool at the same time. You don't have the power to control either one of those things, but you do have the power over how you dedicate your time during the day. It's easy as a parent, as I've already said in my example, to prioritise your children and to teach them all day. And then for you to do your work at night because it still needs to be done, but then that leaves no time for you to relax and unwind. It's like Groundhog Day, the same day over and over. But as the days go on, it becomes more and more unmanageable. Imagine your problems or your difficulties as being a ball. Some of them are very small and light, others are really big and heavy. I'm often told that, well, just because you're struggling, somebody else is struggling even more than you. But the size of the ball or the stress that you're under doesn't actually matter. How long you hold on to that ball matters. Even the smallest things get heavy if you carry it around for long enough. So if we go back to our example of working and homeschooling day after day after day, you try focusing on the children during the day and on your work during the night when they've gone to bed. It's not manageable in that way. So what can you do to change that? Could you dedicate time slots to different activities? Could older children help some of the younger children's for maybe part of the day? As I said, try not to focus on all of the things that you can't do and put your focus onto trying to change the things that you can do. Remember to take time to do something that you like, that you enjoy doing. Take a bath, go for a walk, do an exercise workout online maybe, read, phone someone and have a chat. One of the most powerful things I've ever heard is treat yourself like someone you love. If your child or your partner says, I'm rubbish at this, would you say, yeah, you are, and give them a slap? Or would you say something along the lines of, I know it's difficult, but you're doing really well. If you keep trying, you'll get there in the end. If there's something within your home that's upsetting you, then tell the people that you live with. You need to be careful not to say it in ways that will make them become more defensive. So say it with love, say it with kindness. Don't bottle things up because you think it'll only make things worse if you do say something. Now, I used to do that all the time. I wouldn't say what I was being angry about. I wouldn't say something to a partner because it'd only make things worse if I did. It'd only cause arguments if I did. But now I've learned that I don't have any power or control over how a person reacts to what I've said. And the same is true the other way around as well. How I react to what a family member has said to me is my responsibility. I can feel angry or hurt or upset by it, but then I tell them that and I try to react or respond, I should say, rationally rather than emotionally. I'll leave that here for today with that main point of try to respond and not react. If you need to take a minute before responding to something somebody said, then do that. But explain what you're doing so that the other person isn't left wondering and feeling upset too. So I'll leave this video here for today. Do let me know in the comments section the sorts of things that you're struggling with. I do hope that you're all doing well. Take small steps and try to focus on the things that you can do. We will get through this time together with kindness and love. Take care of each other for now then. Bye for now.